We're doing a live stream right now, and thank you so much for showing up. For those of you that are going to be watching this live, or for those of you that will click on this later, this will be on my main channel, Bruce Lombardo 75. I'm Bruce Lombardo, and I would like to talk to you about a book I've kickstarted and helped out with numerous other hundreds of people called The City of Brass. This is by Frog God Games. This is part 2 of a review series I'm doing, and it'll be probably a multi-part review series because this is a rather thick tome, and it encompasses both a source book and a full campaign. Last review I did of this, I just detailed Chapter 1. Chapter 1 was basically an overview. I gave a small critique about one page in the book, which I will always be more than critical of. That one singular page, notwithstanding, this book is a 5-star review. And I'm going to go into Chapter 2 and 3 and explain why I feel so strongly about that. Chapter 2 for the City of Brass talks about its history. And it talks about how the history of the city begins basically all with the original genie and crafting of the Marawara al-Jinn, and then after a sizable chunk of paragraphs you'll have the Great Purge and Exodus of the Jinn. Now that is a simplified piece there. Just did the titles of various plot points within that. But there's some very good information within here, and if you really like this sort of thing, you need to pick up some Persian mythology books. The one that I tell every gamer to get involved with is 1001 Tales of the Arabic Nights, and that is one of the best collections of stories of mythology from the Persian part of the world. What's the United States? That's pretty good. Let's have another drink. Prost. All right. Tonight's beer is Honey Brown. For a while, it'll be Honey Brown. If you saw my Vines post today, you saw what I put on the scanner at the checkout. It was nothing but Honey Brown. Cases of Honey Brown. So anyway, back to Chapter 2. Chapter 2, as a dungeon master, is it a necessary item to read? Not in the least bit. You're going to get a history for the city's founding itself and who exactly runs the city, who exactly benefits. And you'll get some ideas as to what you as a storyteller can impart upon your players. Now, this is somewhat important because you do want to, at some point during your campaign, you will want to impart this information into their ears. You're going to want to give them a sense of scale. So Chapter 2 is not a, you must read this as soon as you buy the book. No, that's Chapter 1. Chapter 1 is a good overview, and you'll get a great idea as to what you immediately need to read. Chapter 2 is a look at the history and how it interacts with the current day timeline. I wouldn't say that it's a 5 out of 5, you must read it. But if you're going to be having people impart or give exposition, you at least want to have an idea. You will want to read through it yourself in private, and you'll want to say the words because there are some words that don't translate well to British English or American English from original Arabic myth. Granted, there are some other things, but this is an overview. Chapter 2 of this book is not a very long chapter either. You do have a really nice picture that was painted on page 12 of the book, basically talking about the birth of Solomon. Solomon appears in a lot of things from Abrahamic lore. I mean, Judeo-Christianity, Islam religions. I mean, a lot of Persian lore as well. He was an important figure in that part of the world. I will say that for those of you that take a treasured look at certain religions, you probably want to try to read this book as kind of like just a bland history text, because it might challenge some beliefs you have. It shouldn't. It absolutely shouldn't. This is folklore that's been regurgitated, and it's good for folklore as a source. More importantly, Casey Christopherson, he poured his heart and soul in this book, and you're going to find that out. You're going to see that he has done everything he could to revive the 2007 box set that he did for 3.0 or 3.5, 3.0 gaming for the City of Brass that he released. And you're going to see that when he came back for round 2 to recraft this for Pathfinder, Swords and Wizardry, and 5th edition, which really he didn't do it for Pathfinder, but most of us can in our heads alter things to suit the narrative, and we have an idea of what a certain type of character would do in combat. We've played the game for years. 3.0 has been around for 20 years almost. Yeah, it has been 20 years this year, and Pathfinder's a part of that. As much as you Pathfinder heads are trying to tell us that no, we're 3.75. No, you're part of 3.x. And really, it doesn't matter. All role players that are involved with stuff like this, you're still playing Dungeons and Dragons. Doesn't matter what edition. Shut up with your edition wars. All right. Well, chapter 2, like I said, is a very good description of the various creation myths that surround the City of Brass. At the very end of it, it talks about Solomon. Is that an important part of it for the game you're going to run? No. Well, Bruce, what does it do? It provides you with bits of myth that you can sprinkle in your game. And the more you do that as a storyteller, the more you'll make your world come alive to the players at the table or that are on the stream, wherever they may be. But if you give good exposition and learn how to tell stories, it's okay to flub up as a storyteller. When you're a referee, a dungeon master, a games master, whatever it may be, don't be afraid to mess up. Don't be afraid at all to make mistakes, because in all honesty, you will never improve unless you step out of your comfort zone. So give exposition. Try to do it in a character's voice. Don't do it in your own. Unless your voice is that of Morgan Freeman, then by all means, Morgan Freeman all day, every day, hashtag love Morgan. All right, so chapter 3 is kind of where this book turns into a campaign book. And what I mean by that is that this is an actual small adventure for some inexperienced players and possibly characters. And they'll be starting off in Lorndane. It's called Lorndane, the Secret Flame. And the characters arrive in Lorndane. It's a little village in the Lost Lands being the campaign world for Frog God Games and Necromancer Games materials. Okay. Lorndane has a lot going on in it. It does not, but it does, if you follow my drift. You have a group of pirates, you have some merchants in the area that they're looking for ways to increase their yields. You have individuals that are living on the cusp of banditry, and you have the folk of the community, which they really just want to live a good life. But the problem with Lorndane is that there is a secret group of people that are kidnapping children and inexperienced adventurers. So this is where you can send the players as they are coming out of a previous adventure and set it up to where they're starting this here. Chapter 3, it does some things really good. It talks about, I'll just read a couple pieces here to you. As the adventure begins, the referee should confer with the players and offer them the options on how they are connected to Lornadane, and explain why the village and the happenings therein have an impact on their characters. Now, this adventure is designed for low-level characters, and it is within the realm of reason that the characters' backgrounds may have some ties to this very community without outright forcing characters into a plot straitjacket. Do you understand me, people? You don't have to fucking railroad your players through this module. This is something that you sprinkle in your campaign, and you let the players sell some goods. You let them interact with the community a little bit, and you maybe even give them like an encounter at the bar where a known ruffian gives a player the stink eye, and he's going to try to beat him up later and be a bandit and, get him in kidney. But you don't club your players over the head with quest item. Let them figure that out. Let them figure out what they want to do. And if you can't do that, you need to slyly learn how to plant quest items in your campaign to where the players think it's their idea to do it. I know that sounds really difficult for some people that are not used to that, but this is a serious thing as far as gaming is concerned. For years, players have sat at tables and a dungeon master has read out of the book, and he has forced the players to go through the steps that are outlined within the book with no capacity for imagination. Don't be that guy. Don't. You want to be the games master. You want to be the referee that engages all of the players at the table. You don't really want to see a lot of heads pointing down and watching an internet video or the latest game of sports. You want them to be passing notes to each other about how they're going to try to fuck over your game world. And you want to hear them whispering and muttering to themselves about various individuals that are being just total pricks. You want that. That's what you want. I'm not telling you what you want, but as a person who is going to be gauging his success with the expressions on his players' faces, do that. Now, gives you a couple ideas here for how, if you're native to the area, how you know the various people in town. And how soon could you have been on a plane? How soon you could have been on the same page with your players to where you give them the outline, you give them the basic breadcrumbs to get them down the path, and you get them started. Like, say one of the players, and it goes into this in the book a little bit, but say one of the players is the cousin to one of the missing people in this campaign, and you involve them a little bit. Maybe your character has just come back from graduation. He's a brand new adventurer, and the character's family wants to take him and put him to the test of, can you find your cousin? It makes it kind of interesting that way. If you are confident enough, you could have a really good discussion at your table for that RP. It also goes into, what if your characters are investigators and they're just there because they've heard of problems? It's a good question. And then lastly, it has characters stumble across the scene of the creek. That's not healthy. But you'll have information about missing villagers, missing kids mainly, that left Syria. And there's going to be various names. There's going to be plot hooks. You can, as a DM, you can invent character names. You should be able to give some small narratives, maybe give a small draw to your improvisational theater you have going on there. Fairly well laid out. The map is easy to follow as well. Now, mind you, a lot of people are used to having like a grid or a hex map, but not these guys. That should be good enough to where you should be able to create it yourself on a grid if you so desire, or just use that sketch. With Chapter 3, as far as it's concerned, you must read Chapter 3. If you want to start the campaign at first level and follow their directions, yes. There's a lot of good information within Chapter 3. It does talk about the village rumors a little bit. The village rumors are very interesting. Talks about the local sons of nobility, and also talks about how the missing characters interacted with the world before all this happened. Chapter 3, you have to read it. You have to take a look at it and commit it. I'm going to stop it for right now because I'm feeling tired. And I've chatted for about 18 minutes. But I wanted to get this quick video out, and I've been stalling over it for the fact that I usually work till about 8 at night. And then by the time I get home, it's like 9. By the time I step out of the shower, it's 10. But this has been on my burner for a while. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. Chapter 2, like I said, is it important that you read it all right away? No. It'll give you good information nonetheless. Chapter 3 is where the book really starts, and starting does. Anyway, thank you so much for showing up in my stream. You and yours have a great game.